Okay, so let's talk about Chainsaw Man, chapter 70, titled Ripping. Now, before we jump into this week's chapter, do the right thing and leave this video a like, comment ripping down below, and check out my Twitch and Twitter accounts, all linked below. Now, let's jump into this week's chapter. Starting off in this week's chapter, we see a nice little page of like the victory of Denji. For some reason, he's holding a doll above his head while Santa Claus, or the master, is on the ground burning to death. Honestly, hallelujah, she was a tough cookie, but she's fucking dead now. Or she's dying. And Denji has a doll above his head because he's using it to regenerate. He's spilling the blood from the doll on top of his head as a way to like refresh himself. I feel like there's some type of biblical reference there, but I'm too stupid to realize it. The main fighting is over, so this chapter has more dialogue in it. Honestly, more dialogue than most Chainsaw Man chapters, which honestly I'm here for because Fujimoto isn't known for his dialogue. His stories don't always make the most sense. So more dialogue is good. We have the master on the ground talking to Denji. She's laughing at him. She claims she understands him and his actions now. She says she's contracted with the Doll Devil, which we knew. Depending on the translation, I think we called her the Puppet Devil, but Puppet Doll, basically the same thing. But she says that she has her dolls all over the world. Probably why when we thought Santa Claus was an old man in Germany, and it turned out to be her controlling the old man in Germany, yeah, she has spies basically over the entire world, which she claims to. She even says they become dolls through touch, so they can turn other people into dolls. And those dolls become killers, known as Santa Claus. Doesn't make sense to me. Again, might be a translation issue. I'm reading the pre-release, non-official fan translations. They are amazing, but there is a lot of text in this chapter, so the official Viz translation might be a little different. But Master continues that her power is evolving. With the power of darkness, her connection with the Doll Devil evolved, and that apparently, I don't know if she's saying if she dies, the dolls will still come after her, but the gist is that Denji, you need to understand that you're not done here. Dolls will continuously hunt after you. And Denji plays it off cool. He's like, okay, if they're gonna come attack me, try to schedule it during the weekdays. Sundays are for resting. Which is like, okay, Denji, you got it. Denji, like every time we see him more often, he's cooler. He's really becoming a shonen main character, and you love to see it. But the master continues and says Denji she's like, you just don't understand it. She's like, imagine all your friends and family members coming home to see you every day, and you not knowing if they became a doll that day and that they were going to attack you. I'm just like, oh, you're trying to play that card. And then she's like, life constantly in chaos, close to death. Can you even imagine it? And I'm just like, yeah, this is Denji. And Denji takes it interesting way. Again, might be translation, but he goes on about saying, he smiles and says, make me imagine it. So you think even a mortal guy like me can get it? I'm thinking he's trying to say one day he'll have a family and friends to actually call his own, and that he'll be able to come home to them, which he doesn't have now, which is why this threat of hers doesn't work. Denji already has been living his life since he was a child, working for the mafia, like in ruin. He had no one to go home to. His father died when he was like 7 or something years old. Like his mother was never there, I think. So yeah, like he doesn't care about being in a constant state of being under attack, because this is just another Tuesday for him. Denji's just used to it. He's like, yeah, come at me. I'm sure I can take you all down no matter what. But that's when we see Quan Chi is behind him and she chops off his head. I'm not gonna lie, this was a fucking shock to me. She says, truce time over. And I'm just like, oh, seriously? Seriously, though. They did all this together and you're still just gonna cut off his head? She has 2 of her fiends, the only 2 fiends left. She came into this battle with 4, and she's gonna leave with 2. The stitched up zombie that apparently transformed Quan Chi. Apparently she has some contract with some devil that we don't know about that makes her basically immortal like Denji. And she also has the Halloween devil girl behind her as well, the girl with the brains spilling out of her head that only says Halloween. The entire time we've seen her, she's only ever said the words Halloween. The master, looking up at her, is like, Quan Chi, you will also eventually turn to one of my dolls. And I'm like, that still would be very bad. And Quan Chi just looks down at her, and it's like, time to work, Cosmo. And she's talking to the Halloween girl, and that's apparently her name. Her name's Cosmo. I'm like, that's a cute name, but the only thing I can think about is that Cosmo from the Fairly Odd Parents, like, yeah, sorry. But Quan Chi goes on and says, for the punishment of touring Tokyo all by yourself, give the master a taste of Halloween. And the master's like, Halloween? And Cosmo starts yelling Halloween, and she looks like she's gonna do a Kamehameha, and it's like, oh, that's adorable. But she yells Halloween, and the next thing we see is a normal looking Quan Chi in a library, and Cosmo at a desk reading a book. And the master goes on and starts just talking to Cosmo, saying, so we must be inside your brain. She thinks that they're gonna attack her psychologically, try to take her down. I'm like, and I think that's not a bad idea. She's kind of overpowered, but maybe if you can like shut down her mind or change her mind, that'll be a better case scenario. But the master goes on and says, it won't do you any good. She has been boosted by the power of darkness, and with the dolls and being connected to the dolls worldwide, this attack on her mind would be just like attacking her in real life. Nothing would happen. She says even trying it would be just trying to dye the entire ocean with a single drop of blood, which is like a cool little quote. Might want to put that on like a bumper sticker. And she goes on and is like, I wonder if someone like you could even possibly understand. And Cosmo closes her book and stands up and says, hello, Santa Claus. Don't know which one we're going by. Is she Santa? Is she the master? I like the master better. I'm going with the master. And she explains that she's the space fiend. She explains that the master doesn't need to be afraid. She doesn't need to be on edge. Cosmo doesn't have a grudge. She doesn't hold a grudge for the master killing two of her friends and fighting with Quan Chi. She's like, that's just natural. Creatures hunt and are hunted on the daily, basically. But she does still do something to the master. Cosmo says, you will now come to know everything and anything. And I'm just sitting back and wondering, what the heck does that mean? So we're going to dive into that right after you leave a like down below. Cosmo's trying to explain to the master that she may think she understands everything with the power of darkness, but apparently all the knowledge of that the master gained from the power of darkness isn't even equivalent to one page of one of the books in this massive library. Cosmo just sits and looks at her and says, from now on, all the information stored in all the books in that library will begin to flow inside of the master's brain. And with that, the master will truly be able to understand everything. The master asks, what will become of her then? And Cosmo explains, those who have truly achieved the ability to understand everything are only able to think of Halloween until their death. And that's when we get a nice double page spread of the master falling through the library. And when we come back to reality, we see the master burning on the ground, screaming and repeating Halloween, 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 as Quan Chi looks from above. But that's not the end. Next thing we see is Kishibe and Yoshida walking up towards Quan Chi. Quan Chi draws a sword, which, okay, maybe we'll get another fight before the end of this chapter. But the next thing we know is Kishibe and Yoshida are putting on blindfolds. And that's where Quan Chi gets this look of like almost despair, like kind of sadness, as Makima walks up from behind Yoshida and Kishibe with a sword of her own. And that's when Quan Chi says she surrenders. She drops the sword and raises both her arms. And Quan Chi tries to barter or negotiate, trying to say, cut off my arms, my legs. I won't escape from you, but whatever you do, don't kill my girls, talking about the fiends that she has left. Quan Chi's trying to say, if you let them live, I'll even lick your shoes. And it looks like Cosmo tries to butt in, but all we see is that she says Halloween. And then we get the famous Makima stare, and she's just looking at them and says, a corpse is talking. And then we see their 3 heads sliced off, and they hit the ground. And Makima just stares at them, smiling. I'm guessing that's the end of Quan Chi. Hopefully not forever, but most likely forever. The next thing we see is that there are dolls and people in the streets, apparently around the world, just saying Halloween. One of them being one of the 3 brothers, the 3 assassin brothers that thought they were immortal. I don't know if he's trying to play it off. I don't remember him being turned into a doll, but maybe he was. But we get to the last panel of the page, and Yoshida takes off his blindfold because the battle is done. And he turns to Kishibe and asks, are you going to take it off too? But Kishibe responds with a kind of a sad tone. He doesn't really want to see anything, which shows you that he had a connection with Quan Chi that we did see earlier in the previous chapters, and that he didn't want this to happen, which sucks. But with that, that's the end of the chapter. Thanks for watching. I enjoyed the chapter as always. It was an actual talking head chapter. We don't get that a lot in shonen manga series, and especially not Chainsaw Man. I don't think we've ever gotten a chapter with as much actual content with dialogue in it. Like we've never gotten this much exposition, I feel, in a story arc, let alone a single chapter. This is probably my favorite arc right now in the entirety of Chainsaw Man, and we are only 70 chapters in, hopefully with a good more chapters left. Fujimoto's last series, Fire Punch, only lasted 80 chapters. I think it's 80 on the dot, or 88 chapters. In previous chapters, like I think it was chapter 30, I said the story might still be leaning to be on the light end and ending in 80 to 100 chapters. By the time I got to 50 and 60 chapters in, I was like, okay, no, that's not going to happen. But still, now I'm kind of leaning back to my first assumption. This series might be ending sooner rather than later. Hopefully not, but still. But yeah, thanks for watching. Leave a like down below. Comment why you like this manga. Honestly, I like it because it has so much potential to being like a mainstream comic that everyone has to read. Hopefully it gets an anime adaptation, an R-rated anime adaptation, and we can see some amazing shit later on. But yeah, thanks for watching. Peace.